Beginner triathletes, even the ones who train really well, will often sabotage their own races. They'll freak out and panic in the swim, they'll work way too hard but go way too slow on the bike, and then they'll cramp their way all through the run to the finish line. Learning how to race well took me about 4 years of trial and error, but we're going to speed up that learning process for you over the next few minutes, where you will learn the simplest things you can do on race day to avoid the biggest reasons new triathletes have a bad race. What's up, motivators? My name is Taren. When ordinary people want to accomplish something extraordinary in endurance sports, they choose our totally free Motive training plans. You're ready to take on that next big endurance challenge? Let's do it. Let's start with the swim, where the biggest issue is freaking out in the water. This is totally normal, so don't feel bad if it happens to you, but here's how you can avoid it. The first thing beginner triathletes don't know about the swim is that they don't have to swim in the chaos where all the freaking out will occur. You can avoid this mess doing two things. First, instead of swimming in the main lineup at the start where people walk into the water, go way off to the side to the very edge of where people are swimming. If we zoom in on a map here of a typical triathlon swim course, where most people believe they have to start is here on the corner closest to the straight line that goes out towards the first buoy. But this is where people tend to have those freak out responses. Instead, what I recommend for just about every single triathlete is to go way off over to the side where there aren't that many people lined up and take a tangent to the corner of the first buoy. This is going to avoid all the mess of people kicking and hitting you. Now, you might think that it might make the race course longer. It will, but it'll literally only be a few meters. And that is a small price to pay for being able to swim basically on your own, unkicked and non-punched by your fellow athletes. Second, when the race starts, you don't have to turn into the Hulk and rush into the water right away. When the gun goes off, just calmly start walking forward as this athlete is doing on the screen. Count to 5, let everyone else beat themselves up, then start swimming. Things will have died down by that point, and you will again just be swimming your own race in a nice controlled fashion. The race start is where people set themselves up for failure, but beginner triathletes might still panic while they're out there swimming. A hack that will help you avoid this is to count your arm strokes when you're swimming in a pool at a nice slow pace. So during your training swims, count the rhythm of your smoothest, calmest swimming you can possibly do, and ingrain that count in your head. This will create a bit of a governor for you on your race day so that you can calmly swim on race day, instead of friggin' swimming on race day. Oh! When you start the swim, just match your arm strokes to that count that you've ingrained, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, over and over until you settle down into a nice rhythm. Then if you start feeling rushed or panicked later on in the swim, go back to counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until you calm yourself down. It sounds simple, but it works. Next, let's hop onto the bike. The biggest issue for beginner triathletes when it comes to the bike is that they want to go really fast. They're in a race after all. But the problem is that to go really fast, they work really hard, eventually running out of energy by the end of the bike, resulting in a terrible run. The trick is to learn how to go fast without working hard. To do this, the first thing athletes should do is make some cheap changes to their biking setup to get aerodynamic. 85% of the drag that we need to push through the air to go faster can all be improved with small aero gains to things that you are already purchasing. So you might as well purchase the faster, more aerodynamic version. First, you're going to need a helmet. So get yourself an AERO road helmet instead of a normal road helmet. This small switch can make as much difference to your bike speed as a several $1,000 set of wheels. Next, loose fabric is a complete killer for aerodynamics. You're going to need something for all of your training, so get yourself a cycling jersey and a pair of triathlon shorts that fit really tight to the body. Or you can even step up and get yourself a proper triathlon suit. I'll put a plug in here for our Motive gear, which is about 60% less expensive than all other gear out there on the market, and it's great quality, which will get you started and keep you nice and aerodynamic. Finally, make sure you get yourself a pair of clip-on aero bars. No matter what bike you are using, getting aero bars and being comfortable in them will make you way faster. The second thing we need to nail down on the bike is our bike pacing. Almost every single triathlete I know says something like, I just need to get to the swim, and then once I'm on that bike, I will really start racing. The problem is that triathlon isn't about who goes the fastest, it's about who slows down the least. So thinking you'll get on the bike and start riding the lightning is something best left to the pros. Instead, just think that smooth is strong and strong is fast. You shouldn't really be pushing much at all in any distance of triathlon you're doing unless you have done a half a dozen or more to know where your blow-up point is so you can stop short of that. A good rule of thumb is to only go a maximum of 80% as hard as you think you can go. Intentionally feel like you are holding yourself back. You should end the bike feeling like you left a lot in the tank, and this will ensure you can actually have a good run and not a death march cramp fest. Which brings us to the run, and the biggest issue here is not having a complete meltdown blow up of a run. The run is where everything goes to hell if we haven't trained well or raced properly. So the first thing we need to do is a lot of brick runs in our training. In our training plans, we want our athletes to do at least one, but maybe even 2 workouts a week where they run immediately after a bike workout. This will teach our bodies to run while tired and immediately reroute that blood flow from our bike muscles to our run muscles. And this is incredibly important to do. If you don't know how to run after biking, you are in for a world of pain because I'm sorry, that's what you've got to do in triathlon. The bonus here is that runs done after a bike workout are like having double the effectiveness of a regular run workout. So they don't have to be as long, and you can save some time by swapping some of your run workouts for brick runs. The next trick to having a good run is to break the run into 4 quarters to make sure you don't blow yourself up at the start. We all want to run strong all the way to the end, but most triathletes go out of transition super excited by the race and the crowd and run so fast that they have a great first bit of their race, but they suffer for the final half, losing a huge amount of time. We can avoid this by breaking the run into 4 quarters. In the first quarter of the run, we should hold back. Way back to let our bodies loosen up and relax after the bike. In the second quarter, we should build up just to a pace that feels steady, not fast, but slightly challenging. And by the end of the second quarter, make an assessment of how you feel. If you felt good at the end of the second quarter, in the third quarter, you can push just a tiny bit more. But if you feel like you're fading by the end of the second quarter, spend the third quarter slowing down and conserving some energy. This will allow you to get into the final quarter where you finally drop the hammer. You may not even be able to pick up the pace by this time, but picking up the effort will allow you to really start gaining time on everyone who's out there who's been slowing down since the end of the bike. Following this strategy, you won't lose time on your goal time or your competitors. And if anything, you will gain it gradually from the final quarter of the bike all the way to the finish line of the race. The last thing that beginner triathletes need to know is about nutrition. It's easier than you think, but athletes either ignore it, basically guaranteeing that their training doesn't mean anything on race day, or they make it so complex that they ruin their race. We've addressed nutrition in detail in other videos, so I'll keep this brief and give you the high-level explanation of the system we lay out in our 4.6 out of 5-star rated Triathlon Nutrition Foundations book. First, use the link in the description below to go to our calculator that will calculate the exact amount of calories you are going to burn based on your unique speed and body weight. Then, just replace 25% of those calories from a maltodextrin-based source. Third, take your calories from your choice of gels, chews, or bars on the bike, and then switch over to gels or liquids on the run. Fourth, separate your calories from your fluids, as in, do not use an all-in-one nutrition and hydration source. Finally, drink 1 large bottle of light electrolytes per hour. If your stomach starts feeling funny, just keep eating, but switch to water until your stomach feels better. Do these 7 things and you'll avoid the race day disasters that triathletes often never learn to overcome, and you'll be able to nail a good triathlon in your first race. Of course, there's a lot of training that needs to happen before race day, so if you want a free personalized training plan that uses all of the training methods we talk about on this channel that are designed specifically for ordinary people who want to accomplish something extraordinary in endurance sports, check out our Motive app that you can use for free. Finally, click the video on the screen to watch the video that I mentioned that is our full system of everything you need to know about triathlon training and racing nutrition. It's a bit of a long one at 20 minutes, but it will give you everything you need to know to have the great race I know you're capable of. Later, motivators.